Exciting things happening at the Mexican Museum of San Francisco. Here to share some of those things is David de la Torre, the director of the museum. Welcome back to the show. Victoria sent us some clips, and I want to share some with you so we can talk over them. One of them is from the Rex May collection. So this is, tell us about what we're seeing. We kind of jumbled them all together.
Yes, these are beautiful photographs, I think, by photographer Susan Burdick. We're working on a book of the Rex May collection. This was a bequest to the museum in about 2001 of over 1,400 objects. Now what you're seeing is our educational outreach trunks, which we loan to the schools, which is another story that I'd like to convey to your audience.
So there's two different subjects that we're describing in the images we showed you. Let's talk first, if you will, about the Rex May collection.
Right. Rex May is an interesting story. It's a story of a designer who came to California from Texas, where he was raised in San Antonio. And you may recall the 49-mile drive sign with the bird. That is Rex May. Rex May designed that and won that competition for this sign, which we see every day, which we take for granted, I think.
Sure.
But Rex May and his partner would do a Christmas sale every year at their store on Sacramento Street. And Rex would go around the world collecting Christmas ornaments, and then there would be this frenzy of a sale. I remember it well. And they became known for that. But what people didn't know was that in his home, he had his own collection of Mexican folk art, over 1,400 objects from the colonial art period up through the 20th century. And in 2001, Rex bequeathed this material to the museum, so we have it in our permanent collection now.
Wow. What, I mean, how do we, I think it's obvious, how do we benefit? I mean, because this is such a jewel that you have there.
Well, the collection is important because, as I say, it sort of spans the 20th century. So we have really great examples of the quality of folk art that was being produced in Mexico over time. So it's a preservation element for the preservation of this tradition, and we're really lucky to have it. It's augmenting our regular our larger folk art collection, which includes the Nelson Rockefeller collection of Mexican folk art, as well as other material that's been donated over the years from the community. We have a fantastic folk art collection.
You're there,
you're
there at Fort Mason.
Yes.
Talk about what aside from being a historical experience, what kind of a classy experience also going to the museum? Yes.
Well, the museum is in an interesting stage in its development. We're poised to begin building a new museum at 3rd and Mission Street. This will be our dream of creating a permanent home for the museum. And while we're still at Fort Mason in these pre-development years, which will be the next 2 or 3 years, we're highlighting works from the permanent collection to show the public what we have. And we not only have folk art, but we have ancient culture material. We have over 2,000 objects from the Mesoamerican, the Central American, the Peruvian ancient cultures. And then we have colonial art material from the 18th and 19th century, carved wooden santos and oil paintings, paintings on metal, jewelry, ornamentation. And then, of course, we have Mexican and Latin American fine art, as well as Mexican-American contemporary art, Chicano art. So we have a really extraordinary collection that the people of San Francisco should be very, very proud of. Over 14,000 objects. And
you're not keeping all of it there. I mean, you're taking some of it to schools as an educational tool.
Well, we have an outreach program that we developed in the last several years. And we don't actually take the permanent collection to the schools. We take selections of folk art and reproductions from the collection in what we call the education trunks. And we like to work with teachers in a 3-part immersion program for kids, because it's been proven that if we give a regular methodical attention, not just 1 visit, but 3 visits, then this inculcates an appreciation for the arts and also for our future supporters of the arts in our community. So We have folk art kits on folk art, fine art, also Day of the Dead that we loan out to the schools.
And not that you're going to make artists out of these kids, but the fact that they can appreciate and maybe enhance whatever skills they're learning at the time.
Absolutely, and you know, right brain activities, creative activities, theoretical activities are very important to have a well-rounded student. So that's why the arts are so important to have a focus on in the education of our young people.
Especially nowadays when we're eliminating some of these extracurricular studies programs.
There you go. The nonprofit sector, I think, plays an important role in helping schools to do things that they can't necessarily do at this time because of budget constraints. So the museum is very, very happy to help fulfill that role.
All right. Well, give us your final thoughts while we roll your information and maybe some of the images again from the Rex May collection.
Sure. The museum is open Wednesday through Sunday from 12 to 4 p.m. We're a free museum. Fort Mason Center itself is located on the Marina Green, close to Buchanan Street and Laguna Boulevard. And it's a very interesting place, not only the museum, but there are over 50 nonprofits in the complex, so there's lots of things to do. We have Family Sundays coming up in September. We're going to have an Independence Day, Family Day for kids and their families. And check out our website because we'll have current events and other programs that we'd like the community to know about.
All right. David, thank you so much
thank you, Damien.
for coming down
It's
from
a
the city
pleasure.
and enlightening us.
Not at all.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
Up next, you're on Comunidad del Valle, Little Joe of Little Joe y la Familia. Stay with us. So.